Good morning, Leslie Ellis Kindergarten students. This is our first recorded math lesson, and it is a review for many of you. We've talked about coins before, and we've done a lot of work with coins already, but I hope there are some challenging things toward the end of the activity, and let's get going. I want to review the different coins for you. There's a penny, and it's worth 1 cent. A nickel, and it's worth 5 cents. A dime, worth 10 cents, even though it's smaller than the nickel. And a quarter that's worth 25 cents. Quarters, I think, are very confusing, so we're going to be concentrating mostly on pennies, nickels, and dimes today. I'm going to move these up here. All right. I also want to show you a new way to draw. If you're making a picture about coins, it's a fun way to draw a coin. A penny starts with the letter P. So you draw a coin shape, a circle, and you put a letter P in it. That's kind of a short way to draw a penny. You don't have to draw Abraham Lincoln. You can just put a letter P inside a circle, and that means a penny. A nickel starts with the letter N, so we use an N inside a circle to show a nickel. Dime starts with the letter D, so we use a capital letter D inside a circle to show a dime. And quarter starts with letter Q, so we use an uppercase Q inside a circle to show a quarter. I also have a number line here and a 100 square here. And I want to remind you, when we are counting by ones, like when we count pennies, we just do this: 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Or on the 100 square, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, and moving on. Nickels, though, we're going to count by fives, and we'll talk about this a lot more later. So when you count by fives on a number line, you go 5, 10, 15, 20. And on a 100 square, it looks like this: 5, 10, 15, 20, 25, 30. And it would repeat all the way. Dimes are worth 10 cents. And so when you're doing that on a number line, you would go 10, 20. And it's fun to do on a 100 square because you're just going down the last column: 10, 20, 30, 40, 50, 60, 70, 80, 90, and 100. So I want to talk to you a little bit. I have some examples here that I'm going to pull up and put on the board. My first example is all about dimes. So these are all big dimes on this piece of paper. I hope you can see it okay. And I want to remind you, when we count dimes, which you can also draw as a letter D, you're counting them by tens because a dime is worth 10 cents. So I'm going to count these in a quiet voice, and I hope you will try to count along with me. Remember, dimes we count as in tens. 10, 20, 30, 40, 50, 60, 70, 80. So this is worth 80 cents. All right. Ooh, things are always falling down around here. Okay. I'm going to take this example down. And let's see, I'll erase this with my fingertips. And our next example is counting by fives with the coins called nickels. Counting by fives is a little bit more challenging. And I'm going to count them along with a quietish voice, and I hope you'll try to count them along with me. 5, 10, 15, 20, 25, 30, 35, 40. So this is 40 cents. There we go, in my slightly messy writing. I'm going to move that to the side. And now we're going to begin some of the trickier math. We're going to try combining different coins together and trying to count them in what I call groupings. I am going to do some circling on my pieces of paper because this is 10 and then another 10, because remember we count dimes always by 10, 10 and 10. So I'm going to circle all my dimes and I'm going to label that with a 20, just so I remember. Now I'm going to circle all of my nickels, which are just 2 nickels. This is called grouping. It's very helpful when you're counting coins or counting change to count all of one type of coin before you type the next, count the other type of coin. So remember, nickels we count by fives. So it's 5, 10. So I'm going to add a label here saying 10. Now these are pennies, which we count by ones. So it's 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. I'm going to circle them and add a 5 label. So my challenge here is to add these 3 numbers together. I have my 20 for the 2 dimes. I have my 10 for the 2 nickels, plus 10. And I have 5 pennies. You might want to do a little mental math. You might think to yourself, 20 and 10 more. Do you know what 20 plus 10 more is? 30. And then we're going to add, I'm sorry, I wrote that wrong. I put the equal sign there instead of a plus sign. So now we have 30 here. That we decided is equal to 30. So 30 plus 5 is 35. I know this is very tricky, and don't worry about it. A lot of people find it very challenging to count their coins. All right, I'm going to do another one now. This one is using a quarter and some pennies. So I'm going to erase all this using my fingers because I don't have a good eraser at my house. And so I'm going to label this coin 25 because we remember that a quarter is worth 25. And this, I'm going to count these pennies together. 1, 2, 3, 4, and circle it. So we have 4. So I'm going to think to myself, 25 plus 4 equals. And I'm going to use the counting up strategy for this. I'm going to imagine that 25 in my head, and I'm going to count up 4 more numbers after the number that comes after 25. So that would be 26, 27, 28, 29. So my answer, I think, is 29. There we go. Now I'm going to show you another example. This example has one of each of the types of coins that we're talking about today. And I'm going to add labels for each of the coins. We have 1 quarter, which is worth 25. 1 dime, that's worth 10. 1 nickel, that's worth, do you remember? 5. And 1 penny, that's worth 1. Is it worth 1 elephant? Is it worth 1 planet? No, it's worth 1 cent. I'm going to add my cent notations here. So I remember that I'm adding amounts of money and I'm not just adding elephants or pieces of fruit. So we've got 25 and 10 more. Let's see, 25, 26, 27, 28, 29, 30, 31, 32, 33, 34, 35. So I'm going to circle these, and that's 35. And 5 more is 36, 37, 38, 39, 40. I'm going to extend this circle here to be 40. And 1 more than 40, count up from 40, 1 more number, 41. So 41 is our answer. I know this kind of math is very, very tricky, and you'll learn a lot more about it in 1st and 2nd grade. So don't worry if it confuses you. That is fine. All right, I have a last example here. And this time I've kind of put the money into little piles. All right, so if you can see, this is actually 2 dimes here. So I'm going to label that 20 cents. And this is 3 different nickels, kind of laying on top of each other. So remember, nickels you count by 5, so it's 5, 10, 15. And I have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 pennies. Pennies you always count by 1. Remember, pennies are the only kind of golden bronze colored coins in the United States. So that's 5. So now I'm going to do some mental math. I'm going to put the first number in my head. My first number is 20. And then I'm going to count up 15, which is going to be hard because I don't have that many hands. So I got 20. 21, 22, 23, 24, 25, 26, 27, 28, 29, 30, 31, 32, 33, 34, 35. Now, that is our answer, 35 cents. All right, now I want to show you my challenge page for you, which I've got here on my little board. So I've drawn. You've done this before in kindergarten. You've divided a blank page into squares, and for today I just did 4 squares, and I think that's fine. If you want to do this challenge, I'm going to show you the first one. The first one has this group of pennies and that group of pennies and a blank equation at the bottom, blank plus blank equals blank. So I'm going to count my first row, 1, 2, 3, and I'm going to write that in. I'm going to count my second row, 1, 2, 3, 4. I'm going to write that here. Do you think you know the answer to that one? 3 plus 4 equals? You can always check your math by counting. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. Because pennies, you can always count by ones. All right. Now, I'm going to show you this one up here. We've got a dime and a dime and a dime. Do you remember that dimes are always counted as tens? So I'm going to write this for my equation. 10 plus 10 plus 10. Think you can figure that out? Look at it for a moment. So I'm going to count by tens. 10, 20, 30. I'm going to write that in. That's my answer. If you got a different answer, that's fine. All right, this one is a little bit trickier. It's got some nickels, a dime, and some pennies. So remember, nickels are counted as fives. It's like the number of fingers on your hand. So if I'm counting 2 nickels, I'm counting 5, 10. I'm going to circle those and write 10 next to it, 10 cents. A dime is also worth 10 cents. And my 3 pennies, you always count them by ones. 1, 2, 3. So that's 3 cents. So we've got some nickels that are worth 10. So I'm going to write that in my first box. A dime that's also worth 10. So I'm going to write that in my second box. And 3 pennies that are worth 3 cents. So I'm going to write that in my third box. Now, 10 plus 10, can you figure that out in your head? It's the number of fingers you have and the number of toes you have. So that's 20, and 3 more is 21, 22, 23. So that's our answer. Again, if you got a different answer, don't worry about it. Now, this last one, I had to do one with a quarter in it, and I know that quarters are super tricky, and they're worth 25, and it's very hard for kindergartners to remember that. So I'm going to label my quarter with 25 cents. And I'm going to circle my 2 pennies, and that's 2 cents. 25 plus 2. I'm going to write it down first to keep myself organized. So put the number 25 in your head, imagine it there, and we're going to use the counting up strategy and count up 2 fingers after the number 25. 26, 27, and that's how we get our answer. If you want to write equations when you do the challenge page, what's important is that you divide it into 4 and have some fun with adding together coins. It's not important that you write the equation, and it's not important that you group them the way I've grouped them, but I like to do that. Also, another challenge activity you might want to do is to think about maybe making a store at your house. I think we did this in the classroom at one point. We made labels, we made price tags for things, and you could sell things to a brother or sister or to another family member. And you could use real coins, I hope, for this activity. And I hope all of you can find enough fun real coins around the house to enjoy this activity. You also might want to make a real shopping list that your family might bring to the store next time they get a chance to shop. And that could be some stuff that you really would like to have around the house while we're all hanging out at our own houses for a while. So I'm going to say goodbye for now. I hope maybe later today you might divide your page into 4 pieces. And I do want to remind you that it's the first letter of penny, P, nickel, N, dime, D, and quarter, Q, which are the things that you write inside the coins to show which coin you're meaning to do. All right, I hope you've enjoyed math today, and I will be talking to you all soon. Bye.